This is why they tell you, we don't enter communication with your DNA. It's going to tell you, but you have to learn how to read your higher consciousness and translate it into 3D English, because we so absorbed by three-dimensional matrix. And that's the part that don't nobody want, because it requires a certain amount of work. And when people see that kind of work ahead of them, they don't realize if they take a step today, before they know it, they'll be there.
Right.
But they'd rather go work 50 years at the plant and never advance their spiritual and mental development than to advance that, work 10 years at the plant and come out and be a powerhouse that's able to change the world. Right? So ain't nothing wrong with working at the plant. It's use it for a stepping stone. Have a bigger dream that you can work toward than just being a worker.
Right.
Right. But nobody's teaching our children this. Right. Nobody's teaching them the unlimited potential that they can tap into by applying discipline and willpower. So they go on the predestined path. And a lot of them, if they get too far into the predestined path, it cuts off early. And we might experience in the 3D reality as a teenager got murdered. Or he died in a tragic car accident. We had got so far into this predestination and foregone his divinity. So now he has to reset, go back out the game. It's just like getting shot in one of them video games. You reset, you come back, and then you finish the game.
Right.
Right. So the ancient ones know this. It's the ones who are the younger gods that's here to learn on University Earth that got trapped by the bad kids in the school, the problem child that didn't want to learn nothing. That just wanted to upset the school and tried to take over. Now the dean is here, right? And he's talking to the teachers, talking about what happened to the school. I was only gone for a minute. And they saying these kids came in. We don't know where these motherfuckers came from. I think they was from the west side of Chicago, probably Cabrini Green, and they just took this motherfucker over, and the teachers couldn't do nothing because they was going upside their head. Right? Because that's basically what happened. The bad kids took over the university.
Right.
Right. So now that they took it over, the dean got to figure out a way to put the university back in order. And the only way to put it back in order is put the power back to the proper dynamic. That's the great mother. Right? So when we get into a certain frequency of energy, then that frequency will allow us to receive greater advancements from source codes that's going to be coming in.
What culture, the Mahuta, what culture is that from, and what does it mean, Rod? This 6 hour
that's a Hindu culture.
Hindu.
And it really means the time of the gods, or the time of Brahma, which is the creator.
Right.
Right. It's the time of the new beginning, the new creation. Now they have many Marutas. They come on a daily basis, but those for individuals to use it to their advantage to develop. But most of us don't know the science to it. Right. But when the great one comes, the one that lasts for 6 hours on one day, that's when all of the other cycles have been readjusted. We didn't went through them all. Somebody recognized it, pointed it out to the masses, and now they beginning to see that the changes is imminent. They beginning to see through the illusion of the political drama and the Hollywood theatrics. The system is using those same two fields of distraction to now start to give you the truth. Right? You see that all of the newscasters is becoming new. Right? A lot of people not paying these faces no attention. They watch the news every day and don't realize that they got new faces on major programs. That's because they're about to do what's called the big disclosure. Now, I don't know if they're going to do the disclosure Monday, but I do know that the energy shifts with these astrological events.
What should we do Monday, Rod? What should we be doing individually or collectively when this 6-hour window appears? When, all right, they say an Earth is aligned at a galactic geometric line to the center of the Milky Way galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Now
That's when you get. That's when you get source codes.
Right.
So it's like it's a straight open path from Big Mama to you. The most important thing is to be in that. Yeah. And the women already connected direct through the vagina. Her uterus is the microcosm of creation, which is the macrocosm, which is the direct phone line. They said Jesus on the main line.
Yeah.
What they talking about? ISIS.
Right.
The main line is the uterus. It's the portal.
Right.
You can holler in the portal on one end and somebody on the other end can hear you. It's just that you don't know they can hear you.
Got a question, Rod. Mm-hmm. We often refer to the woman's yoni as the portal. Another part of the woman that we look at when we're talking about sexual energy is a woman's breast. Now, when you say Milky Way galaxy, I'm thinking about the breast.
Right, so, because that's also the symbol for nourishment. Right? Now, if you're going to be in the land of milk and honey, you got to be prepared to get squirted by a breast.
Ooh.
And shit on by a bee.
Shit on by a bee. Oh, man.
That's what happened. Beekeepers know what I'm talking about. You're going to get shit on by a bee. One of them going to sting your ass. Right? But it's the right one that sting you at the right time to activate you to move up into the forefront. Right? So when we talk about the breast, this is critical in pair bonding mother to child. And they took it out of the doula's hands and put it in Western medicine to interfere with the pair bonding process. They called us ants because they say we rally around Big Mama like ants rally around the queen.
Right.
Right? Because when we was all called to war, all tribes on deck. They came behind us when we went to fight in the Gullah Wars and slaughtered our families. Right? So we get home, we think we going back home, and we going home to a massacre. All you got to do is look up Native massacres. Right. They told you they massacred us. Right? Because we was kicking their ass in the Gullah War.
Sister said we about to get the formula, right? We about to get the formula. If you know what I mean, from the Milky Way galaxy. I hear you, Copper Goddess. We about to get the formula.
They the ones gonna be the first recipients of the change. They gonna feel it first with women's intuition, because women intuition is a pineal connection to the portal.
Right.
Right. So Source is looking out for them the same way they look out for their child. Right? Women that was fucked up last year, they about to be all the way get right this year.
Yeah.
The energy is gonna change the way that they interact with each other and with the men.
Right.
It's gonna change a lot of people for the better. Some people is just gonna erase them. All I can say is sorry about their damn luck.
Yeah.
They should have did their work. They flunked out. There's a whole lot of flunk outs. Right? So it's all kind of aids, assistance that you get on your journey.
Right.
Most of us overlook the old wino who's dropping jewels. He's one of the pauper gods. But because he over there drunk, you assume he has no intrinsic value that can advance your life. He just don't want to play in the game. He chooses to be at the bottom in order to hold this motherfucker up. He's strong enough to take the suffering, stronger than most of us. Yep. It's just going to get stronger and stronger. The women going to get more attractive to us, the ones that like women. They as God is glow up called it, they going to be juicy than the motherfucker.
Juicy. Oh, man. So what else can you tell me? What did the ancients, for those who don't know, Rod, what did the ancient writings, whether it's ancient Kemet, well, we know ancient Kemet, a lot of people know about Newt and all of that, but
right, but then they gonna send you out to clean some shit up when the time comes. So you gonna figure it out later on when it look like it's too late. But it's gonna come with an assignment. And that's how the pretender to the throne gathers the support to seize the kingdom and restore the land by following the steps of pretender to the throne, going about pointing to all of the ones doing the work. I ain't doing this looking for nothing. I'm doing this to show everybody where everything at. Right? When they understand what's been taking place, it was some voodoo shit. So they told us voodoo was evil and to stay away from it, so we could never figure out that they was using voodoo on us.
That's that trick I talked about in the beginning. Stay away from that, then they using this shit. Okay. Yeah.
Even our music, they knew we used to trade messages in the music. That's why they used to call our music race music.
Right.
The blues. All of them's codes. Rock and roll was birthed by Little Richard, Chief Screaming Hawk. All that shit codes. Tears of a Clown, Smokey Robinson, High Chief Hayoka. From the land. He not no African, he'll tell you. But he proud to be black. Understand we at war. The war is the war of the mind of the people. The people have to determine who they are. The self-realization is also the activation of the new system, with us being back on top. The ones who don't understand the message is telling you who they are because they can't digest the message, so they have to attack the messenger. It's over their pay grade. Right? So we have different cross sections of the community. The ones who know what's going on, they know what I'm talking about. But the ones that's part of what we call the conscious community, them the niggas that's in the way. They more in the way than them church folks. And the church folks been in our way a long time. Now it's these so-called conscious folks. Part of their so-called woke culture. And I don't got nothing to do with none of that shit. My only thing is I'm informing the people that I came to exercise my blood right to reclaim and redeem this land and raise the matriarchy and put the chiefs back on power on the land. It's already being done under continuity of government, but they don't want to read the document because that required them to do something to verify something.
Right. Okay.
They gave us everything back. It's in the Indigenous Rights Act, but they don't know how to read the documents. We just got to know how to restore the original government. We have to revert back to a time before the advent of what we call the United States constitutional government. We have to go back to the Confederate tribes' oral constitutions and issue the oral edicts of the chiefs. We can't use their system to overthrow their system because by doing that, you supporting their system. You have to divorce yourself from their system, use the original system of the tribes that all tribes understand, and put it in the public domain. Right. So we tell the stories and go over the history. I done read thousands of books, man. I don't have time to every other word give you the book. Right. And then especially when I'm not doing a class where I'm pulling the receipts. But at the same time, it don't matter what anybody think. You know, I don't have no beef with nobody from that. I don't got no beef with nobody. All I'm just saying is when we doing what we doing to recover our birthright, go to Africa and get your African birthright, you African American. And then you will have a leg to stand on to put some weight on somebody for reparations. If you don't have a leg to stand on, you need your own country with a lobbying body of Congress of their own to lobby for you to get reparations. Japan lobbied for the Japanese in World War II. They got it. But ain't no African country saying you from there. Lobbying for you to get reparations, giving you dual citizenship because they know you've tied to the land over there. I've been talking to Pan-Africanists studying Garveyism for years. They all over there say the same thing I'm saying. We from over here. It is some African in us. We've been marrying them motherfuckers for thousands of years. But if they tell you they not making it up at 21andMe blood tests, DNA test shit, it says for entertainment purposes. The narrative is to steer us away from the birthright to the land over here. The narrative has to disassociate us from the land called America. But we was already here before Columbus came. Right? So we have to go back to our system from before Columbus came in order to overthrow their system with our system. All of these wise legal counsels can't understand that the grandfather clause is in full effect when we go from Admiralty Maritime back to the law of the land and the totem pole. We had totem poles. We don't follow the law of the flag. That's Admiralty jurisdiction. The law of the flag ain't supposed to apply on land unless it's in the embassy.
Rod, let me ask you, how long has this earth plane, this school plane been in existence? Like, I'm just trying
Time is an illusion. To give you a time is reinforcing an illusion. It's been here ever since now. It's been here right now.
Are there other earth schools in the universe, or is this like the premier school? You know how they got Harvard, they got Yale, and these are the schools you go to where you learn some shit. Is that earth like, are we like the Harvard of the universe? Are we the Yale? Are we the Stanford, Columbia? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Or are we like, what kind of school?
Yeah, this was the school that most species wanted to come to. This is all holographic projections in 3D. Mm-hmm. And our consciousness is in the video game, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? And we getting the information. Somebody's playing with the joystick, manipulating the DNA in order to get the message when the mitochondria send the signal. Mm-hmm. Right? It's computer animated, digitally enhanced. Right? This is why you have ancient technology returning, like the healing chamber in the med bed. People talking about that's the newest technology. No, that shit ancient.
Right.
It's part of the part called the hereafter in the story of the redemption of the earth in the holy drama of the Osirian resurrection. They tell you it's the Christ story in the Bible, but it's the Osirian resurrection. That's why everybody got it slightly off. They looking at it from the reflection of an original story's reflection. And then they don't even know the actual people that existed that they telling the innuendo story about without using the name of the person. The Isis of the day was Cleopatra, and they haven't found her tomb.
Mm.
It's the synchronicities with the story. The story of the Christ was written a 21-part play by Josephus Flavius. It was to be 21 different people looking at the story of this Christ character from 21 different angles, and they all had a gospel. A gospel is the good news, a good story. They all had a good story from their angle. But as soon as you get caught in one angle, you can't see the rest of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an entertainment purposes. It's psychologically alluring. It's a hypnotic play being played out in order to seduce your mind into believing a paradigm that they can control.
Mm-hmm. And
that's how you enslave the mind at the most basic core portion of understanding.
Mm-hmm. You know, I want to use music as an example, Rod. Sometimes the older artists, they've been making good music for so long that they need a new muse. So what they do is they get with a younger artist, and the younger artist gives them a muse, and they create magnificent music. Now, if life is music and we're old souls and we've been creating music in this realm for a long time, do you think us getting with some of the younger souls, like let's say the Caucasian species is a younger group, when we get with them, do you think we will create great music because they offer a fresher perspective? When we've been here for so long, we've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, we tired of this shit. So us having a seed with the Caucasian race, do you think that offers or bring forth a soul that's totally different from what the world has ever seen before because of the mixture of DNA?
That was all part of a game called white supremacy. It was a multi-dimensional chess game.
White supremacy is a multi-dimensional game.
It's part of a multi-dimensional chess game. White supremacy's foundation is called Protocols of Zion. Right? And the script is written as morals and dogma. And it's telling you basically how you follow the dogma, and the ones follow the morals is the only ones going to see the story.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right? And then the story going to be being told, played out. Ain't it something America came in with George and left with George?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because even when Obama was president, as long as the old man was living, he was King George, the first of the United States of America, passed by Senate subcommittee in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
In the wee hours of the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? William Cooper outed his ass.
Right.
Right? And it was part of a security agreement. The security agreement was to give the Illuminati or the deep state control of the government. George Bush would be the king of that government. And from then on, he was the one who controlled the next several presidents until they got to Donald J. And then his plan was derailed. All this is still playing out the story repeatedly over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then now they run in what they call the kabuki theater, right? Which was common in ancient Japanese culture. Then married to East meet West, the uniting of Africa and Asia, right? It's the uniting of the understanding of the mythologies, because the mythologies is just repeating the same holy drama.
Right, right.
Right, and the holy drama traces back to the Assyrian resurrection, and that the masters of the land know that when the crisis come, who to call. And they call on one of the elders, what they call the family tree or the great pharaoh's family tree. If you look at the gods, right, and then you see Isis, Osiris, Horus, Anubis, Sekhmet, Het-Heru, right? When you're going through them, they all got a different function. Those are parts of the family.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Everybody at each function have to teach one of the children in the family how to perform each one of the functions of each person in the family, so that when he get to the top, now he know how to set the family structure back up.
Mm-hmm.
The nuclear family,
mm-hmm.
the head of the family, right? The great family of Tahuti, the uniting of the tribes of the earth, right? They tell you the story in the Avatar. They tell you the story in the Matrix. It's the same story from a different angle. And all of those stories create what they call the great work. Everybody got to keep the story out in the forefront until we figure it out. So we figured it out.
Hey, Rod, is it possible to incarnate in this realm, your soul? Like, is your soul simultaneously down here using different bodies, or does each soul incarnate one body at a time? How does that work, Rod?
It depends on how your DNA structure is set up. Mm-hmm. But you got, in order to be multiple personalities with the same higher self, you have to have the same DNA. It's normally 7 at a time, but those are normally masters. Mm-hmm. And you have what they call lookalikes.
What, doppelgangers? That?
Yeah, but they lookalikes. Like you might go to Japan and see a Japanese dude with your face, but he's just lighter. Mm-hmm. Right? Then you might go to Africa and see another dude with your face, except he burnt brown.
Yeah.
Right? And then you be sitting there like, man, why did the dude in Japan got my, and dude over here in Africa? And you're looking at the facial cranial structure. Yeah. And the energy that comes in is the DNA tells it how to form. Y'all are tuned to the same physiological frequency in order to produce the outline of the form. Mm-hmm. And this is also another expression of the self. Mm-hmm. Right? When you have multiple mental selves, that's because you tuned in your VHF frequency to the same radio frequency as somebody else. When you become a master of your frequency, now you can use it to talk to anybody else on your frequency. Mm. Mm. Tune in the radio knob.
Right.
Yeah, you learn to control it. When you hear multiple voices, your radio stations overlap. You got to tell the other radio station, hey, turn off until you get down to the station you want to hear. Mm. Right? That's how you call practicing the control of the man, to keep the mind, the monkey mind, the Sacco Mao, from driving you into the nut house. Hmm. But then some of us is conscious of how to do it, but we too lazy to do it and mad because we get the results of not doing it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We want somebody else to do it for us.
Is there anything you think a soul looks for when, like, say when a soul's ready to incarnate down here and they're looking at a man and a woman and they know they're about to get busy and have sex? Is there any personality traits that this soul looks for? Because sometimes the people we call masters, they come from the people we least expected. They may come from a crackhead. They may come from a junkie. They may come from just a regular Joe. They don't come from sometimes you would think two conscious people produce masters, but it don't work like that all the time. So is there anything that these souls are looking for when they want to come down here, these advanced souls?
Yeah, open channels.
Elaborate on that.
Path of least resistance.
Path of least resistance.
Right, an open channel. So when you let your frequency go to a certain level, it makes the higher beings have a lesser of a struggle becoming one with the individual. And they can bring them up to a higher level faster.
Mm. So being conscious could offer resistance sometimes, you think, to these souls?
Yeah, because a lot of the consciousness is rooted in the ego being strong.
Woo! That's a breakthrough. People don't even realize that, because the consciousness is rooted in the ego being stronger. So we prevent the higher advanced souls. That's a breakthrough, brother. I got to put that on TikTok or some shit, man. Go ahead, brother. That's a breakthrough. Like,
right. Well, the struggle with you is between your higher self and your ego self. Your higher self is the one determined to drive you to do your destined purpose and is going to manipulate the hell out of your ego until they get it done. Your ego going to fight back and try to do everything my way that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's just doing it your way, it doesn't make sense. So it's defying logic why you doing it your way that makes your higher self rebel.
Right.
And force you to go down a path that's going to force you to straighten up.
Mm. Wow.
And you doing it to yourself the whole time, trying to not be who you are, trying to be who the world told you to be.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be who you are. The more you want to be what the world want to be, that's the greater your ego develop.
Mm-hmm.
Because your ego is the sum total of all of the things people told you about yourself that you believe, and you use that as a protective defense against the inner child. And the inner child only wants the higher self to parent it and guide it through the world. Right? But the ego take over, smother the inner child, and now he's at war with the higher self. So you find him sitting in the penitentiary for 75 years. They was too real for the streets. That's what we talking about. That energy exchange with the self drives you to put yourself in a circumstance. Your higher self gonna put you wherever you gotta be in order for you to fulfill your life purpose. Yeah, sometimes your life purpose is just to deliver one message to one individual that's in a far distant place from where you currently sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be one person listening to Brother Rich that got the message they needed to get that changed their life forever. And now you did your whole life mission. Now you can go and about your business.
Mm-hmm.
And create whatever life you want to after that. See, we think when we do our life purpose that it takes our whole life. Sometimes it just takes a class encounter.
Right.
You know, because we help other people to help us.
Rod, I remember one time, bro, when I was in my 20s, there was this dude, I was a street vendor in NYC, and I was selling like DVDs and stuff like that. And this dude came up to me and he started telling me about fasting. And the brother inspired me to go on the biggest fast I ever went on. I remember it to this day. It changed my life forever. Made me stop eating a lot of things I was eating. And I never seen the brother again. Seen him one time in my life. One time he inspired me to do the biggest fast I ever did. Then I just never seen the brother again. So in encounters like that, what would you describe that as? Where you do, you want to look for the motherfucker to thank him, like, yo, thank you, but I never found the brother again. It just, what would you
Look,
describe?
in your book of life, you might have asked for a pass right there, flea flicker.
What? Come on, brother. You got. Come on. What did you just say, man? You asked for what?
A pass.
You said
flea flicker.
What's that?
Yeah. In football, flea flicker is the razzle dazzle play on the football field.
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. And you might have wrote in your book of life, if I happen to end up right here, that's where I want to put my inspiration spot at. So it's like you stored it there in your life path. And if you get there, you get that inspiration. That was the reward. He was just there as the shopkeeper holding the reward until you came and got it.
Oh, damn, bro.
He there, but he not there no more.
Yeah.
You see? And your paradigm changed because of that encounter. That's how you read the signs in your life like that. Mm-hmm. And the more you understand your path that you took, the more you understand the destiny you're supposed to take. Mm-hmm. Right? And because it's going to be training you for the next wave of events. Mm-hmm. And your greatest task going to come when you can look back on it all and know exactly why you did it. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, or indifferent. You ain't supposed to be squeaky clean, but you're going to pay for your dirt before you get out of here. Mm. That's part of the game. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? So the dirt has to be enough to draw the misery on the person. Mm-hmm. right? So now that they did their dirt, they enjoyed it when it happened, laugh now, cry later. But some of us wasn't about that laugh now. We was about that figure it out, straight face. And then later we can laugh about it because we're gonna figure it out.
Mm-hmm. You know what I always hear about, Rod? I always hear about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. They be like, yo, he on the mother wheel. He ain't passed away. He's on the mothership, or what's that called? The mothership or the wheel,
Mother
or
plane,
the
the
mother.
mother
Yeah.
plane.
What's up with souls like Elijah? You know, I asked you about people with masters. Where's Elijah chilling right now? Where people like Elijah?
Listen,
Yeah,
Elijah got a pamphlet. It's hard to find, but it's called Radiohead.
Radiohead.
Mhm.
Okay.
And it's about the master's ability to be on the other side. And if a person match enough of their frequency, they can talk to you through that person.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And they always have a lot of melanated people are going to be drawn to Sedona. Like she's asking the question now. That means there's a curiosity brewing in the community. Others of us want to know. It's a lot of us still go down there. Don't get it twisted. But it's just that a lot of work is being done with the most recent evolved human species of the planet. In order to get them their right to ascend, they had to assimilate their one drop of blood. So now they're going for their spiritual tuning sessions to make sure that they can function in the fifth dimensional matrix and the solar cycle. Because the sun ain't going to be friendly just because they got the right to ascend. It's going to be brutal until they adjust.
Mm. It's quite interesting. That's a whole nother show. Quite interesting. Yeah. Okay. This is something that's said a lot now. Where is it at? Chat moving so fast. Is it true the sea is space and space in the sky is the sea?
You ain't never heard as above, so below? It means exactly what it say, as above, so below. When we talk about coming into creation from the primordial abyss, abyss is the depth of water, but it's not physical water of the earth. It's the primordial noon, the great waters of creation, which is the fluids that run through the womb of the great mother, who we rest creation in as we develop as the gods. It's all Egyptian um, conceptual physics told in story fashion as the story of the gods. Those are all conceptual physics stories that tell you how to read the stars, that tell you how to translate it on Earth and what do it mean when you translate it.
Right, right. Okay. Let's see. Somebody said, okay. Is the sky blue because of the blue sun?
That's a double oxygen molecule called ozone that make the sky appear to be blue. It's it's the oxygen molecule that produces a blue pigment, a baby blue pigment.
All right. Will social media ever come to an end?
I don't know, but I hope my social media days come to a motherfucking end because I'm sick of this shit.
Oh man. All right, let's keep it moving. Um, okay, why are a lot of melanated people moving to the southern states, particularly from California?
I don't know about particularly from California, but I do know Mississippian culture says that when the energy shift, everybody go back to Big Mama house. For Mississippians, that means the land that we call today Louisiana, Arkansas, and Georgia, and Florida. That's called the Big Mama's land. Would be called the land of the flowers. Florida used to stretch all the way to Texas. But when during the war, the English settled Georgia to separate the clans from merging together and to push the slave narrative to culturally assassinate us as a people. Because they want to take our culture from us so we can't read how to recover our birthrights to the land.
So you're saying Florida was once, what states was once Florida? So we could really understand what you're saying.
When you come out of Florida and you go west, you're going to go Georgia, you're going to go to Arkansas, you're going to hit Mississippi, Alabama, not in that order. And no, yeah, in that order. And then you're going to hit Texas. Portions of the border where Texas and Louisiana meet is rigid because of the skirmishes and the setting up of the demarcation lines by the settlers. But the tribes use major monuments as the landmarks. And then we broke the land up into controllable sections for clans to settle on. And these are the ones that they caught traveling to fight in the Gullah Wars. Mm-hmm.
So I got a map, right? So we got Florida.
Mm-hmm.
From Florida, you hit Georgia, you hit Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Houston.
Houston is in Texas.
Right. Okay, so after Louisiana, then we got Texas.
Right. Right up in there where your cursor at is the end of the land of flowers. Now you going into the land of dirt and stone, what we would call a desert, going into Texas.
Okay.
Right. The land of dirt and stone goes all the way up into what we call today everything that was annexed from Mexico in the Mexico-American War.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when we was going, the battleground was in the panhandle of Florida, all the way down into southern Florida. This is where we was fighting the Gullah Wars at. When we was coming from all over the land, Lewis and Clark backdoored us, and because the castles they saw was didn't have nobody there but caretakers, they declared there was no royalty over here. And that's how they was able to expand across the Louisiana territory as a furtherance of the crash spot called the Plymouth. Remember, Malcolm said we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Right? Because they used that as the cause for admiralty jurisdiction to usurp the people of the land. Chief Warhorse can tell you better than me how this go. She got all the receipts, the old maps and all that. Once you find out where at your people trace to, you're going to know what tribe you from. It ain't going to be no secret no more.
Right. And what role was Mexico playing in this time period, 1492, around that time when all this was taking place?
Okay, so Mexico was fighting the Spanish. All of the tribes of Mexico is drawn into, you see that little peninsula right there by your cursor to the lower left? Oh, no. Go back over to your left, right here in that area. Yeah. They confronting the Spanish there on that part of the Mexican continent. So now tribes is migrating all the way from Alaska south to fight the Spaniards. This was to send support to the islands, Jamaica, Cuba, Dominica, all of these islands, Cuba, that you see down there. They were all being mercilessly attacked by the Spanish Armada. The Spanish Armada eventually was backed up by the French and the Dutch. So we was jumping boat jumping from this portion of Mexico going to support the islands. And that's why you see the islanders with varying different tribal makeups, because we had to go help them. This is where we had our resorts, right? So Big Mama's on the mainland would trade delicacies with the people from the islands. We would always visit. They cut us off from each other by controlling the water. They took control of the seas first, around the borderlands. Once they took control of the seas, they started first annexing the islands and claiming the islands as the territory under the doctrine of discovery. When they started getting pummeled, they sent the voyage around South America. And that's how the Califia Queens, caught without her kings, got assaulted, and her castle got pummeled by the Spanish Armada. And then that, we didn't know what hit us.
Damn. So you ever seen the movie Pirates of the Caribbean?
That's about the Spanish. Puerto Rico was set up as a port city, and it was where all of the thieves kept their wealth. That's why it's called the rich port, because all of the wealth that they was stealing from the tribes, they had to take it to Puerto Rico to be inventoried before they ship it to Europe. And the pirates, honor among thieves, that's why